Radiant team pick.
Necrophos.
TNC, they want a way to deal with the Dragonite. They take the Necrophos up. It's a solid way to kind of reap through a high armor target like that. So a very stable pick. Not too strange. I think it does fit in nicely. You will have to watch out. There is a timing there for GEEK Fam to dodge it. Nightmare at the right time will cancel out that. You know, you can dodge because of the invulnerability state. I do believe so. There's a window there where TNC has to be slightly careful, but it's not really a major concern, I don't think.
We'll find out as the game goes on how well they do go with those dodges. Of course, it should be Whiteman playing that hero, and he's been pretty on point as of late. Look to him to make those kind of plays. I do like the Necrophos though going into that DK. Just an obvious pick. We've been seeing the Necrophos being picked a lot into Spectre, which is again another very, very obvious pick. If you are up against Spectre, you just go Necrophos and they can't really do much. But the DK also suffers from the same issues the Spectre does. You're just not really anywhere near as tanky when there's a Necrophos in the game. And GEEK Fam, well, with their fourth pickup now, they are taking quite a bit of time here to make the decision. We are looking for some more calls, probably the off lane to come out for Cuckoo in this pick, and no! It'll be the Gyrocopter coming out now. That should be the safe lane being picked up there for Raven. Interesting pick, but I guess in the laning, I know, I thought the same thing. Why Gyrocopter, right? I guess in the laning phase, when you're up against the Necrophos, who can just get away with Ghost Shroud, the Rocket Barrage is going to be quite nice.
10 seconds
remaining. You have some nice setup there with the Bane as well. So, although that specific position 1 doesn't bring me much confidence, if you are going for a very early team fight kind of draft, the Gyrocopter does fit.
That's true. It's a solid core, right? It gives you some momentum. Its timings are okay. It doesn't really lose out in lane, so you do have a lot to play around for GEEK Fam. It's still not my favorite pause one. It's not your favorite pause one, but it doesn't matter if it's not ours. GEEK Fam picks it up. They want to play it. They don't have to worry about the Morphling here because they did ban it out earlier. So you're not going to see the Morphling Shaker combo for TNC, and you're not going to see Gyrocopter coming out from that. Still, TNC picking up the Void. They do have a really solid Gabby hero now. I think this is going to be pretty darn good with what they have. Just the Chronosphere and Egg doing a lot of work. There's a lot of potency there to take control in these fights. Do you have to worry about certain heroes outside? The Bane is going to be a constant factor. Nightmare is just going to ruin you. The Fiend's Grip is just going to ruin you if you're not careful. So TNC, Gabby has to catch the Bane every single time. If you don't get that done, then your Chrono is probably going to go wasted.
Yeah, I mean, you do have the ES there in all fairness, right? You can cancel that Bane's Grip from a large distance. Up until the point where Bane has got Aether Lens and has hit level 15, then you can forget about that long range of the Fisher. It really just doesn't matter because you can just cast from such a bigger range. But still, GEEK Fam, TA is banned out now from this Radiant side. TNC Predator yet to make one final ban before these drafts are completed.
10 seconds remaining.
They are looking to either ban out an offlaner for Cuckoo or a mid laner for Carl. I suppose they can probably just shove the DK in the off lane. Don't bother running it mid. But
I feel like if they could do that, an OD would be pretty nice here for GEEK Fam. It's not been banned out. That could be TNC's last ban out, but it gives you a lot of value. It's not something Void enjoys playing into. It gives you a way to dodge the Reaper's Sight consistently. So it's just a strong option to take those options away.
Would be definitely a choice here for TNC to try and ban out. Really would be annoying for the Necrophos as well. Just the Astral when you go Shroud. Suddenly you just don't really matter. But they actually get rid of the Venomancer. Just not wanting that counter up against the Necrophos, which is absolutely fair enough. And they'll go for the very safe mid in the Lina.
Yeah, it's a solid way to round out the draft. Lina, of course, plays into the chrono just fine. You can burst the target down and follow up with the sight very easily. It's a solid combination coming out from TNC. Nothing too fancy. You do have to be very careful about the timing of the chrono.
10 seconds
That's going to be the main timer that will revolve around, maybe the Reaper's Sight as well.
5 seconds.
But if you can maximize those belts, which we have seen TNC do before, then you're probably not going to have too many issues. GEEK fam, on the other hand, they can be active a lot more. Your biggest cooldown is probably the DK Dragon form. So once that's up, you look to them to try to push, to try to take control and find a pick-off. They've got easy setup for the Mirana. So they do have great control from the laning phase if they do get aggressive very early on. I think that's something TNC has to respect. But we'll see how they close out that draft.
Still looking for that mid lane. It can be a bit hard to choose the mid lane matchup here when you are up against that Lina. Of course, there is still flexibility in TNC's draft as well to switch it around with the Necrophos. That's somewhat doubtful, but it could happen. GEEK fam. Still waiting.
Choose your hero.
Okay, the Doom comes out. So where are they laning all this?
It's a Cuckoo Doom? Yeah.
Okay,
Cuckoo
so
Doom, it's a
DK.
Carl DK. Yep.
Alright.
It's not too bad, right? Lina, DK. DK's probably not going to lose. Lina's not going to win. You know, it's just going to be an even farming lane for the most part. Although Lina can dish out the damage in terms of her spell use, but the harassment you tend to see with the Fury Soul, not going to be as effective. That's still a DK. So it's a stable lane. I think Cuckoo's Doom is going to be the biggest issue here for TNC. Whether or not they can shut him down is another thing. We've seen some teams struggle. We've seen some teams really dominate Doom lanes. So TNC, they want to give Gabby a good time. They can't afford to have him bleed out to the Doom. That's going to be really important for TNC to maintain. And that's going to be the lane for them to watch out for. It's just the timing of Gabby is key. Of course, once you hit 6 in the Doom, it becomes a lot harder for the Void to commit. Right? He's always going to be at risk of being doomed. And that's just a really fantastic way to ensure that you don't even have to worry about that anymore.
It's going to be a fun matchup to watch. Curious to see how well Raven can do on this gyrocopter. Of course, he's played the hero many times. He can be very susceptible to dying quite easily, though, especially with the draft that TNC have. See how it all pans out. They really do have to get a nice pace going for themselves, though. They can't afford to give too much space over to heroes like the Faceless Void being played by Gabby. So that Void will just have essentially infinite scaling because he does have Chrono.
It's gonna be hard to stall that game out. Just one of those spells you can always rely on and being very strong control as you approach that late game.
Prepare for battle.
And from the laning phase, you know, GEEK fam, we mentioned from draft, they do have that Bane Mirana combination going for them, but whether or not they're actually going to be looking for those early setups is a different thing. We don't tend to see that combination really kick off for the most part, so it does look like it is just going to be stable dual lanes to start off with for now.
And that it should be. Safe lane should be fairly safe here for the side of GEEK fam. Like KP on the Necrophos, you can't really kill the guy per se until you get a few levels up, but I don't think he can really affect Raven too much on that gyrocopter either. They'll probably just trade farm relatively safely until you have a few more levels up on that gyro, and then maybe go into the Nightmare and Rocket Barrage. March will of course be there to help on the Phoenix. There's only so much you can do on that Phoenix though. Can be a bit tough against the Bane. He doesn't really lose harass trades with any other support.
Oh no. Definitely not. It's gonna be hard to commit. I think the one thing you can watch out for with the Phoenix, of course, is the sustain for KP. Once you have a few levels in with the Sunray, you can keep your Necrophos up, although it does look like March will actually just rotate top. We're gonna see the Shaker along with the Necrophos in that bot lane.
But we will see Zephyr and Whiteman together on this Bane Mirana already. Tim's gonna cop a hell of a lot of harassment here with this block. It's actually not too bad. KP sticks around, make sure he doesn't get chased too far. He will of course go for the secondary Fisher block there on the Earthshaker. Raven's doing a pretty darn fantastic job himself with his home creep wave. It's still of course going to end up pretty far out. It's just too hard to contest when you have an Earthshaker that can just double block the wave like that.
Yeah, it's really tricky, and Tim's is going to go for the pull as well. Looks like TNC is just setting themselves up for some decent EXP leeching here on the bot lane.
I love that. He pulls the wave as well as blocks the small camp on his way out.
Oh, so efficient.
Little efficiency plays. Of course, mid lane, you will see Armel there up against Carl. You talked about this in the draft phase, but there's not really too much that's going to happen here. They're just going to farm. If anyone, the likelihood is no one dies unless we see like a Mirana rotation or even maybe an ES rotation. But Carl should have way too much armor to get through, and Armel should be way too far away for anyone to kill him, just with that huge attack range.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to punish either side. In the end, the timings are going to be pretty even. You look for Carl, I suppose, to get the early rotation with the tower pressure, with Dragon Form once that's up, and of course Armel to try to burst someone down with the Laguna.
Tim's, of course, doing Tim's things, finds the first courier of the game for himself. It's going to be Whiteman's courier. Also gets a fish around, and I think he was intending on blocking that creep wave, but doesn't quite get away with that. Now the dire creep wave is going behind the tier 1 tower of the Radiant. It's just complete chaos in this bot lane. Now they're just going to farm near the neutral camps now, of all things.
It's a tricky spot for Raven. At least he's not dealing with it under the tower, but that's another wave going to be pulled in. Gonna have to clump them all up. Good amount of EXP though once this is cleared out.
Oh, absolutely. But even just Tim's splitting this creep wave up now, making it a bit more hard to deal with here for Raven. But he will deal with it relatively well on this Gyrocopter. They're still farming very nicely. Because we'll look up at the top lane where Cuckoo and Zephyr are up against Gabby and March. Arrow was meant to go onto March, but doesn't really connect there from Zephyr. There has been a fair bit of harassment out onto the side of GEEK in this off lane. Of course, until you really land an arrow, though, nothing's going to come of it. Like, they're just going to keep creating farm as well. Oh, that's a bit of an awkward arrow. It does hit the range creep at least. Thought it might hit the Faceless Void, but doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, I think Geek Fam in this case is just happy to find EXP. You just want Cuckoo to hit the level 4, level 5 mark so he can sustain himself. Then maybe you can have Zephyr get a bit more aggressive, free himself up in other lanes, maybe get that rotation mid we've been expecting, but beyond that, you know, you're just here for the EXP. Gabby, he's still finding farm. It's not free farm, but it's still even with the other cores.
It can be a bit intimidating up against that dude. It does tend to hit fairly hard, and that Infernal Blade doesn't make it any nicer. So we do see a rotation out from March. He's going to go ahead and secure the top power rune. It is a haste rune. Carl is just going to force him to take it. And now they're trying to deal as much damage as they possibly can. Though I imagine the DK should just still get out of here. Taking a fair bit, but they won't be able to kill him.
Yeah, that's just DK. Has a salve, so he's just perfectly fine. They forced the rotation out as well. You're not going to be too upset if you're Carl.
Denied.
All he wanted was to make sure that Armel didn't get a free full bottle out of that power room. Heals up so quick. Like, he's almost back up to full HP now.
Fought and died.
Dragon Slave just does nothing to him.
Yeah, and Armel is out of mana, so he's not going to sustain that trade. You do have the Soul Ring flying up for Carl, so he's going to be able to spam out his own breed fires, whereas Armel is going to be forced to really maximize his bottle charges.
Bot lane, Fisher block there onto Whiteman, but Raven is there to protect his pulse fire.
First blood.
Top lane, March actually ends up killing off Zephyr. So the Mirana will be the one to die for first blood, and March of all people, and the Phoenix does get it.
Yeah, it's a nice little start for March, just finding the earlier kills and giving himself a nice gold injection. It's going to lead to him having an early earn. That can be a bit of an issue for Geek Fam if they're not careful.
Well, Spirit Vessel is going to be very, very important up against that DK for sure. Even the Doom is a pretty tanky target, but if you can get that Vessel out, he does tend to start melting. You are going to need it, because Gabby probably won't have enough damage. You know, even with the Chrono available, it's just not going to be enough to get through the HP of Cuckoo.
No.
Spirit Vessel will help.
Yeah, it's an issue we see with a lot of Faceless Voids early on. It's just usually not enough damage against heroes like the DK and the Doom, although if you get some good bashes, that could be one way to get it done.
Just what I've
Sure,
been waiting
bashes are nice. I think Zephyr in the mid lane now. Perhaps going to try for an arrow onto Armel. He is underneath vision right now, so Armel should be able to easily dodge any arrow that flies at him. Tims is there anyway, but they do throw out a stun. Now Tims, of course, will block the arrow. Good timing out there from Tims. Zephyr will realize he was probably under vision and will back out.
Yeah, just a bit of wasted time. That is Karl's first dragon form, although with an arcane room, it's not going to take too long for the second one to be up and running, so should still get some stable damage onto that mid.
Both Pos 1s are farming very well right now, I've got to say. Karl's going to be in a bit of trouble mid lane, but Armel couldn't actually get through the Fisher. Bit unfortunate for him. Armel going to keep trying to chase down Karl, but he is just way too tanky right now. Perhaps if you had Laguna, you could do it, but he doesn't have the mana for that. So he'll just continue to trade farm. Tim's going to stick around. Maybe a Fisher Laguna could be enough to burst this Dragon Knight. But Armel's still waiting for the mana. Has got a Clarity active, but it looks like it's never going to be there.
And that just allows Karl to maximize his presence, and he's not going to be too upset now, as he does get to live. And of course, because he had the Arcane earlier, Dragon Form's going to be up in 2 seconds.
Nice.
Dire are scattered.
Armel is defending that T1 tower very well, though. It really hasn't taken much damage at all. Karl will take an LSA, bot lane, or bot rune spot. Tims will take the DD rune, as Zephyr was contesting.
You fought and died.
And now they'll try to force in the T1 Radiant side tower a little bit. No, they won't even bother trying to get some chip damage out. Just preparing for the next wave that's coming after Karl. But I think that's actually a little win there for TNC. Like, the fact that this Dragon Knight hasn't got much damage out yet on that T1 is pretty nice, though. Arrow gonna fly in. They were trying to go after the leader kill. Do they have enough damage? LSA does land, and now Tims is here with a nice Fisher as well. Icarus knife Karl. He looks to die, but no. The Dragon Tail will come out, and Karl, he might get out of there as well. He does.
Oh man. It's a heavy commitment from both sides to try to find that. All supports going down mid. So the side lanes open up. This is really benefiting your Pause 1 course still. You do see a lot of back and forth. Raven is slightly ahead, but he does TP home to pick up his boots. That does free the lane up for KP.
It's good news for KP.
Radiant's
Third and
bottom
last hits right now on that Necrophos. He's just having a great old time. Both teams seem just very, very satisfied with securing farm on all their heroes right now. Neither side really interested in trying to be the one to initiate these big team fights yet.
Oh.
I say that, but they have found Wyman on that Pos 5 Bane, and Laguna will be there in time from Armel. He had it out just before the Nightmare kicked in.
Dire's middle tower is under
Yeah,
attack.
it's rather unfortunate for Whitemon still. He did force the Laguna out. That's a nice spell to force onto a support. And you just force the attention away so you can secure your bot outpost.
3 TPs down bot lane. Zephyr, Karl, and Cuckoo all TP, trying to go after these 10-minute bounty runes. KP, I thought he may have been caught there, but does manage to walk out in time. Geek Fam, they've been putting a very large emphasis on ensuring they find as many bounty runes as possible. This time around, they only find 2, as Tims was prepared for that.
it is fairly tricky to find farm this triangle with Tim's just maintaining. He's finding the EXP to soak. Raven's not going to be too happy about that, but again, they commit to their TPs. He's going to be left alone up here for a while.
Raven's going to chase him down though, hoping this side to follow up. Nice Fisher though, actually blocking in Raven. He will not have enough damage, but Cuckoo will. So at least you deny off that gold from the POS 1. But Cuckoo won't mind the gold either. And now, in the mid lane, Carl's going to get started on that T1 mid tower. Does have that dragon form up. Whiteman, still level 4, doesn't have the Fiend's Grip, but can just commit the Nightmare if necessary. They are going to force a rotation back up from Tim's on the Earthshaker. They will eventually just leave the T1.
Yeah, again, both sides just playing really conservatively. You are building up in these POS 1 cores. Gabby and Raven just left alone to farm. I think overall this should be benefiting, well, both really, except Raven is rushing the Ags, so you might see more presence from Gabby earlier, because he is going for the Mask of Madness first, and of course goes for the disconnect.
Raven is slightly ahead in terms of farm, and you know, in all fairness, he probably will be ahead if this farm game continues between these two teams. Like, the Void farm's nice enough, but you're up against a Gyrocopter who has Flat Cannon, has Rocket Barrage. Just clear through anything he wants so darn quick. Once that Axe is up, he clears through things even faster.
Yeah, I think the big issue is timing. Like, the Ags is going to be up fast, but Gabby's flying out his Mask of Madness. So he can actually throw out the Chrono. He should do a lot more damage now, especially since he has max level of Time Lock. We haven't seen that first Chrono yet from Gabby, but it's starting to feel like it's almost time to commit it. Maybe toss up a support to help him out. Maybe have Armel rotate in for an easy cleanup. You should be able to find some easy kills with just the Mom on.
I'm just seeing that solo Chrono. Cuckoo is around the area though, so that could be a little bit dangerous because you do have the Doom available on Cuckoo. Make it much harder to get the kill. But I'm sure Gabby's thinking about it. The MOM though, his courier is fairly far away. He may not actually get the chance. You might want to save that Chrono.
Oops. Maybe playing CSGO. I did see that because I sneaked a peek at the stream once. Did mention something about playing CSGO. I guess the TNC players are looking at a career switch for whatever reason.
Why not? March is very, very aggressive this month. He looks harmless, but he's very, very aggressive.
I mean, he's the guy with the deep pockets here. You know, he's the puppet master of TNC. You don't mess with this guy. White Mom. The confidence. Oh
Right,
God, I love this.
Get back on with the game. That's enough work.
It's just continuing from the lobby, Mike. It's been non-stop between these two.
Gabby will remove himself from that top lane as well. He's going to go down towards his base. Mid lane, they have put out the Phoenix with that Nightmare and Dragon Tail out from Carl. It won't be enough to kill off March. But again, they are just looking to pressure that T1 mid tower. The same is happening up that top lane. T1 is going down. TNC is doing the same down at the bot T1. They do secure it. But now you've got to make the decision, what tower do you want to defend? That mid lane is going to go down once the next Dragon Form is up.
Yeah, they did lose the top in the end, so they're only going to have the mid to defend. Got the Mom delivered to Gabby, so they could make a play. If Geek Fam's not aware, then Gabby with the +1 should be able to clean up a free pickoff if they find someone isolate.
Smoke up from Carl. They want to try and commit this Doom as well as the Dragon form. Tims, he is down the bot lane, but so is Armel, and that's the real target. Wyman has the Fiend's Grip, goes to the Nightmare first. They don't see Tims, but Doom is there. Cuckoo has found him. That means Armel will die, and Tims will probably also die, but Gabby has Chrono, not committing quite yet. Egg will come out from March. Fiend's Grip is there from Wyman, but KP will take care of that, and now the Chrono comes out, catching two heroes in there. Is it enough? Zephyr will die on the Mirana. Now a full-scale team fight breaking out. Raven comes in with the call down, but they are not winning this team fight. GEEK fam, I believe, might need a retreat. Let's go. They still want to go after KP, who is starting to fall low. March just dancing around this team fight, now trying to run away as well. And GEEK fam is indeed winning this team fight. This KP has run out of mana and HP. Dragon Tail is there, and Raven, or rather Carl, will get the kill.
Yeah, that's a bit of a back and forth. That was a 3-for-2 trade in the end. So that does favor GEEK fam. And first Chrono of the game for Gabby. Pretty alright, not the most substantial, but at least it does get used in the end. This will open up a bit more potential for the push down mid. But you do have to watch out for Tims. He still holds on to that Echo Slam, and there is some potency there if you do clump up as GEEK fam.
I love the play from Cuckoo, just ensuring that Tims was controlled on that Earthshaker. Getting that Doom off straight away, understanding how dangerous Tims can be on this hero. Still trying to focus down Carl and defend that T1 mid tower. Carl not having the opportunity to really get the Dragon form out again onto that T1. Raven's going to be there as well. He has the cooldown back up. You might want to just save for that final the point booster. No, they are going to start working on towards the T1 again. Blink is there on Carl. It's just being brought out on the courier right now.
The prize is mine.
You have a Yules now on Armel as well.
Dire's
They
middle
find the
tower
T1 and TNC. Just don't find a way to initiate into a team fight again. Now
it's
GEEK
gonna be
going to rush into the Dire jungle.
It's going to be an issue until you do have Tims all ready to go. Again, you're constrained by either Tim's Slam or Gabby's Chrono, and well, right now Gabby's just going to be farming up towards that BKB to prevent himself from being controlled. So that could force Cuckoo to focus the Doom solely on the Void. Just avoid that, but then you'd have to worry about everyone else running around.
double damage.
No?
Shadow.
From lane, Armel is by himself. Zephyr pops the Moonlight. Armel did see them for a second, but the Dragon Tail's going to be there. Into the arrow, and Armel does still have Tims there to help out, but I think they have enough. He does use up. Should still be dead, and does go down to Carl, and now poor old Tims going to try and make a run for it. But Carl again has another stun. That means Tims is going to die. A double kill now going out to Carl. Now, they might even find a third if Gabby's not too careful, but he will time walk out.
It's just a nice set of kills going the way of GEEK fam now. This should allow them to apply some pressure out. Unfortunately, the waves are pushed in. Just going to use this to farm up. Mid lane is being shoved pretty hard. Should probably take care of that, and Carl does TP in.
TNC, they're just kind of falling behind in farm right now. Like, they're 4k net worth behind thus far. All that farm on GEEK fam is basically just Raven, Cuckoo, and of course the DK. Gabby trying his best to catch up. He just doesn't have enough damage output yet. Surprisingly enough, he is going to be going into the BKB.
Yeah, it's just to prevent himself from being controlled up beforehand, but there are a lot of spells that go through it, so the value of that for Gabby, not sure if you can really expect that to be as game-changing as you'd want. Still, they smoke up.
Radiant are scattered.
Good scan.
Ready to burn.
Very, very good scan from GEEK fam.
Dire are scattered.
Cuckoo does show in the mid lane, but he'll just drag the creep wave away. I think they have to understand that this T1 tower is just going to die no matter what. GEEK fam will just let it go down.
Radiant's
Now
middle
Tim's
tower
does spot
has
out the
fallen.
Doom again, but doesn't quite get the Fissure off, and the
Dire's
smoke
bottom
will
tower
break.
is under attack.
Of course, you have the Chrono, you want to try and expend it and get a kill for your team, but they're just not finding any targets on TNC. With
And
that right now, they're just kind of standing in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, and this has given enough time for Raven to finish up the Ag, so he's got that up and ready to go.
Nightmare was there on Tim's. Wyman didn't have any teammates around to initiate with the Fiend's Grip, so he won't bother trying. But like you said, that's the Ag's up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit scary to fight into Raven now. His damage output's pretty darn good. He is starting to get really tanky. You look at Carl, just a recipe away
Radiant's
from
top tower
BKB.
is under attack.
He's gonna be pretty much uncontrollable beyond maybe a chrono landing him, and of course, so there's a lot more now coming out here for Geek Fam. And TNC, they're just allowing this to happen. They're not quite forcing anything out. They're gonna be trying to trade a tier 1 for a tier 1. I don't think Geek Fam minds this at all.
I mean, Raven
Dire's
gonna go ahead and take the tier 1 tower at the bot lane. TNC will try to do the same thing up at the top lane, and they do get it.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Kind of mirroring each other.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Again, it is still suiting Geek Fam more at this point. Raven's just going to go ahead and work towards that BKB or Satanic next, depending on which one he feels like he needs first. But no, it will be the BKB. He does buy out the Mythical Hammer.
Yeah, and again, it just gets really hard for TNC to pump that damage out. I mean, they can still maybe expend the Reaper's Sight for control, but you lose out on the damage of your Necrophos, you lose out on the damage of basically everyone. So there is an issue of control there as well. You're gonna have to depend on Gabby just catching people in the chrono.
Shadow out. I believe Wyman's just trying to get some deep wards out with this. Mid lane, there's going to be a Fissure there onto Zephyr. Can he get out of this? He does! The LSA does not land! It was too early. Oh, that is not good news for TNC. Can't afford to miss easy kills like that.
Yeah, they really are starting to taper off every single time they commit like this. Looks like they will set their sights onto Roche. They've got some good wards around the area, and it doesn't look like Geek Fam has too much vision there, although there are pings flying out. They should make their way there if they want to contest this.
Well, it seems like a bit of a desperation play from TNC. Like, there's just nothing else they can do, so just go for the Roshan play. The thing is, it's going to work if nothing happens here from Geek Fam. I believe they're trying to smoke up, but it might be too late. The Roshan's already so darn low. How are they going to make it in time? 1k HP left, still very, very close now. Kubi, can you make it? No. He had the blink, the arrow came through, the Aegis is there on Gabby, but they're going to go in anyway. Carl gets started on KB. Call down is very, very nice. Up to 3 heroes. Gabby in the middle of all this, holding Chrono for now. Zephyr in the back, trying to go on to Tim's, get rid of that Earthshaker. Now the Doom comes out on KP. Egg being dropped by March, but Chrono will protect that. They will go on to the DK. LSA lands as well. March now out of the egg. Will turn around, but a Fiend's Grip is there now from Whiteman onto Armel. Armel, though, gets away as Tim's did cancel the Fiend's Grip, and Raven needs to run. But he will go after KP. They really want that Necrophos kill, but KP is somehow still alive. Cuckoo is dying here on the Doom, and they have left the Necrophos alone now. He is not going anywhere. And TNC almost have a full team life on their hands. Just one more, and it looks like they are going to get it. Raven's been caught out by the sun. He'll try to turn around and fight back. Armel is very close to dying, but the bashes are flying out, and nobody will die on the side of TNC. They will all walk out together.
Geek Fam just forcing the fight right after the Roche into the high ground. That was not the fight to go for, and it cost them a lot. They lose out in their pretty substantial lead earlier, and it's down to a 1k, 6-9 at 22 minutes in. TNC, they've got a pretty good bounce here. They look at Gabby, he's saving up for the MKB straight up, although Carl
Yeah, he finds March. Nice easy kill on the Phoenix. But now Mel, that's a much bigger kill. Great Nightmare setup. KP trying to help out. Tins jumps in. Doesn't have the Echo though, but a great Fisher. Now they're trying to turn it. Cuckoo. Really healthy. Reaper Sight thrown out very, very early on onto Cuckoo. Carl is still trying to go here onto the Earthshaker. Tins should die and does. Now Tim's trying to run. Rather, Gabby's trying to run. But he does get Dragon Tailed up. Of course, he does still have the Aegis and BKB. He will choose to use his BKB and get back towards his own fountain.
That's some pretty good punishment coming out from GEEK fam. Not what you'd expect, especially after you get wiped like that, but GEEK fam showing us they've still got a lot to play with, even if they do turn around and wipe earlier, and they do regain some of that lead back. 9-9 now, 3k advantage for GEEK fam. And you still have items to fly out, like Raven is just saving up for the Overaxe into the BKB, whereas, you know, Carl already does have the BKB. So you're looking for an AC next on our DK, and once that's up, a lot of that physical damage starts to really get minimized here from TNC. You know, your Void, who has damage issues, it's not going to be hitting as hard once the AC is up and running.
Interestingly enough, Gabby on the Void is trying to go for an MKB straight up, which can't necessarily disagree with. Like, he does definitely need some big damage output here on the Void. Might be very effective up against Raven, who will want to butterfly it later on, but obviously won't want to go for it once he sees that MKB on. It's hard to really, I mean, it's such an even game right now. There's a 3k net worth lead for GEEK fam, but it could still go either way. And both teams have been really taking these strange team fights, to say the least.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're kind of just going in on each other, even if they have the disadvantage, trying to make something out of nothing. The last time it did work though for GEEK fam. Like that team fight after the Roshan pit shouldn't have happened for GEEK fam, but they somehow win anyway.
It's the fact that TNC don't have their big spells. Like, you're looking at Chrono, you're looking at Slam, you're looking at Egg. They didn't have it right after that first fight. In GEEK fam, they don't really have the longest spells except for Doom. So beyond that, they can just force these fights consistently, and TNC has to be careful about that timing. And talk about an even match, you look at the Dota Plus probability, Mike, for the longest time, it's just been kind of 50-50. Just really even from both sides, and really showing neither side giving away too big of an advantage, and it's really open to big swings. Although I do feel like certain item pickups are going to change that, and you even look at KP, who had that slow start. The Halberd is going to continuously cause issues for GEEK fam. Just the disarm onto Raven, if he's allowed to, takes away so much damage from this team that it becomes hard to contest TNC in their form.
GEEK fam, they just feel confident enough to start forcing down the top tier 2 tower, but they scan out, they see March, they'll get out of there. The bottom tier 2 tower did drop though. He did manage that. Now, GEEK fam, grouping up, want March. And they will jump in. Cuckoo, of course, with the stop. Immediate rotations here from Tims, but he gets nightmared up, and now the Moonlight Tims, he's been left alone. They may not realize it, but he is up there alone right now. I think Cuckoo might. And yeah, he does. He chases him down, gets another stun off, and now there will be some follow-up. Tims has no way out of the situation. He will die once again.
Yeah, 2 more free kills going the way of GEEK fam. TNC, they're not quite committing to clump up. This is costing them. GEEK fam to try to clean up that tier 2 to even out the map control. TNC, once their supports respawn, they should take that opportunity to try and fight. They will have to be wary about Cuckoo, as the Doom is still up and running, but if you can pin that Doom down, then, you know, it doesn't come out and you're not worried anymore.
Top tower is under attack.
You'd imagine they do smoke up though, TNC. They're still letting Gabby farm, and he is getting there. He's got the Demon Edge up for that MKB. But you can't just let GEEK fam keep doing this to your team.
No.
Like, Raven has queued up the butterfly after the Satanic. But again, it's going to be a matter of whether he realizes an MKB is already being built on Gabby. So he can switch that out pretty fast.
Yeah. I reckon it's gonna be a bit of a problem, but not so much. Again, Gabby going for it preemptively does mean there should be some time for Geek Fam to spot that, so Raven should still be fine after the Satanic. It's still quite a fair build-up for him, not the fastest time, and again, you see TNC slowly clumping up. Wanna play together. That's where they're strongest, although they're not ready to really force aggressive movements onto Geek Fam. They're just playing it conservatively. They're buying time for Gabby. At the same time, Geek Fam, they're not too dissuaded by this. They're farming on Raven. It's a gyrocopter. You want the farm anywhere.
Once the Satanic's up, it does become a problem for TNC. Very, very difficult to try and burst this man down. Because you do still have the Reaper's side. That's meant to be for Carl on the DK. Speaking of Carl, almost has the Ags up now. So that Black Dragon is coming.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a massive spike for him. We've seen that change the pace of a game a lot. I love that he skipped the AC. They just understand they probably don't need the durability. As long as they space themselves out, you know, you're not going to have too many issues. So they probably learned their lesson from that high ground fight and just staying a lot less clumped up, not get caught out. Still, again, just back to farming for both sides. You do see that MKB fly out and a BKB for Armel. So there's more tools now for TNC to play with.
Got an opportunity to team fight here in the mid lane. They see Carl, they don't see the rest of it. They're smoked up right behind Carl. Ags now up on the DK, so Geek Fam very, very willing to fight. TNC, will they oblige? KB gonna break the smoke now, spots out Geek Fam, but don't Moonlight Shadow. KB still just holding that high ground. Carl blinking in, not finding a target yet, but does eventually get the Necrophos with the arrow as well. KB getting bursted down, but there's the egg being dropped down, called down as well. They're just focusing on that egg, and March will eventually die. Now Armel's been caught by the Fiend's grip. He will also die. And unfortunately for them as well, Gabby was doomed up that whole time. He couldn't chrono. And with that, Geek Fam win another team fight.
Just really disciplined initiation coming out from Geek Fam, isolating the key parts of TNC's fight, and when the combo can't go off, TNC, it falls apart. They just need to chain out these pieces of control, these pieces of big team fight spells, but Carl, you couldn't have asked for a much more perfect reveal of that Ags, and off the back of that, just gonna find some objectives, take the mid tier 2, and again, set themselves up to slowly build up a bigger lead. 11k now for Geek Fam. This is accelerating Raven's farm towards the Satanic. Just lacks the Claymore, 700 gold away. And once that's up, Raven's just going to be able to live through most of this fights unless you commit a Spirit Vessel charge onto the Gyrocopter.
Really coordinating very, very well in these team fights. Still, they have the chrono, they have basically every ulti up on TNC, apart from the eggs, but they can still fight. Nothing was committed really at all. They were just locked down in every single corner. But now Geek Fam just going to play the avoid game. Of course, they're not going to be willing to take a team fight until their ultis are back up. In all fairness, those ultimates will be back up pretty darn soon. You give it about 15-20 seconds, they're going to have all of them ready to go. And suddenly we're back to an even kind of team fight between these two. Except that, you know, Geek Fam does have a 10k net worth lead.
Yeah, beyond that, you know, the potential for both are pretty big. Really have to watch TNC. It's just so much harder to pull that off, right? You're asking for the egg on the chrono with a slam at some point. Just a lot of coordination, and TNC, they've done it a couple of times. They need a lot more. Still, Geek Fam gonna close in.
They're coming. Carl, he goes straight off the Tim. The arrow connects as well. There's your Echo Slam gone. Now TNC, they just want to run. They are trying. March in trouble. Carl trying to get him before the egg goes off. He does get it as well, Gabby. He can't chrono in time. Now the Fiend's Rip as well. He just captures the Void. Gabby will die. KP is trying to run. He will also go down. Just nothing. They can't get one ulti off.
No, it's been really, really strong from GEEK Fam with how they break up these fights, and TNC cannot counterfight. The moment one part of this equation for their fights breaks off, nothing lines up, and Armel being chased out now. He should be able to get out, but is risky.
Oh, close. Carl is making it so hard.
Yeah, he really is. He's on point.
He's always on the right target every single time.
Yeah, he just always canceling out. Echo is always catching one out. This is what TNC needs to do. They need to be able to isolate at least one, force a clump up from the rest, and follow up, but they can't. And now, Marosh is just going to go out for free for GEEK Fam.
Aegis and Cheese going to be there. Raven, of course, will take the Aegis on the gyro. And he'll just go farm up a bit more. Like, he's got the Satanic. He's got a Paladin Sword. He's going to go for the MKB himself. And right now, like, it's not even about farm anymore. They're not even letting, like, GEEK Fam, TNC use their spells.
Yeah.
I don't know if TNC needs a farm. It's kind of like... I'm not sure. It feels like they're going to be the ones initiating these team fights. They can't wait for GEEK Fam to approach them.
Yeah, they can't counterfight. Again, if any single part of this equation from TNC is taken off, it just doesn't equate. It doesn't equate to anything for them. It's a big fat zero. They need to be the ones to jump first. They need to clump up as 5, just smoke up, try to find someone again, and commit. They have so much in terms of AoE. They've got the slam, they've got the egg, the chrono. It's been a really slow game for Gabby. We've only seen 2 chronos so far off the top of my head, and he needs to pump out a lot more. We always talk about this with the Faceless Void. You have to maximize chrono every single time.
No real time here to wait for that perfect multi-man chrono. So, not the game for it, that's for sure. But you'd love one. We do have the go-ahead. Nice quick pause between these two. 17k worth of a net worth lead for GEEK Fam. The Solar Crest now up on Zephyr, so he's just making Raven that much more powerful on that gyrocopter. It looks like GEEK Fam may just wait for the AC to be up on Carl before they go for anything more. I mean, they could fight. They've got all the ultis back up. Perhaps TNC are the ones who go for it this time. They have invaded the Radiant jungle. But they're only interested in just taking control of this jungle. Not so much fighting. GEEK Fam will just happily oblige. They're just up towards the top lane, it seems. That's where the line's being drawn.
Yeah, why not? They've got a lot more time left in the Aegis. They can still force fights. They moonlight. They get a good scan as well.
Tims. They've gotten Tims every single time the fight's about to start. Shows up again. Oh, Tims, you don't want to be here right now. He'll run out. He feels like something's wrong. They do scan out. They do realize they're there.
Oh.
Will jump in. Straight up to KP, but Gabby will put out the chrono this time. There's a cooldown coming through. Tutu as well. Who does he do?
Oh.
One yet. He still holds down on it, but March is dead. And now with that, Gabby has been doomed up, and they are melting under all the assault that is coming out from GEEK Fam. Armel is trying to run. It does not matter. None of it matters, John. GEEK Fam is just too strong right now.
Oh, Whitemon with a save. He nightmared Carl right in the middle before he could die. So he got the cheese usage off. Now the push will just continue. TNC. We finally see the chrono coming out. Nothing else. We didn't see a slam. We didn't see an egg. They just couldn't get the team fight off. They just can't. And it was the hardest target in the chrono. Carl, you just can't kill the guy.
I think they were probably just saying, look, when you see a chrono, just take the chrono. Don't think about it, just take it for now. We're too far behind to think about getting those big chronos, but it's definitely not the DK that you want. And now Carl going to start pushing in those tier 4 towers. We are having multiple pauses as there are constant disconnections happening.
Man, that is just such a tight fight. If TNC did find Carl at the end, I think they would have lacked control on Geek Fam's side to clean up. Like, they were depending on Carl with a blink to chase everyone else. They had to depend on him with a Dragon Tail as well. A lot of it is on the back of this DK. So Whitemon with that save really just gave them that team fight. That was just very well timed and could have gone south if TNC did find that kill.
Jump in on to KP. Arrow flying through, doesn't land on KP, but he is good.
Oh! Raven turns around, Nightmare's on to Gabby. He's forced to BKB. Raven's still not scared, still has the Aegis. They do force the buyback out from Carl. Raven's dropping a bit low, not quite. They're gonna go back at it. Aegis still has a minute left. Raven's not scared.
Alright, thank you for that, John.
Is worse than the disease.
Tier 4, one of them will go down. Jump into KP, he just fought back. Arrow gonna be there, he's taking so much damage, they just can't stop it. Raven takes him out, and now Cuckoo just jumps in the middle of everything. The flat cannon destroying the side of TNC. They will buy back as many times as they can, but it may not matter. The Aegis is exposed. They do fortify, but the GG has been called by TNC. GEEK made it look easy, John. They really did.
That they did. It's a great showing from Geek Fam for their first game up against TNC. TNC, they had the right idea with the draft. They couldn't pull off the execution. We'll see